That is not easy, and it simply wouldn't be fair to give him some, or to not give him any main screen time. So here we go. And like I said, this match was always going to be fun, but now it's even more fun because both of them are 0-1. Starting off 0-2, it's still possible to make it out of the group, but we all know that is going to be incredibly difficult. So here we go. TVP hasn't gone that well for the Terrans today. Let's see if things will go a little different in this one.
And playing for Brave Star Gaming, spawning in the bottom left of Eternal Empire, it is Hurricane.
And on the right top side of this beautiful, marvelous, relatively big map, look at the main base of the man that a lot of people see as a caster right now. That's of course a bit of a meme. One of the best Terran players of all time. It is TY. Who does enjoy the occasional commentating over there in the GSL studio, but he also happens to still be 7,000 MMR and incredibly good at this video game.
Yeah, highly regarded as one of the most intelligent players in StarCraft 2. Has a wide array of openings, even took on Special as one of his little Padawans and such, but he's brought brand new styles to Terran as a whole. I remember a long time ago, Terrans never really went beyond 66 SCVs. Then TY is like, hold the phone, and went up to like 95, even 102 in one famous game. But he plays a very different brand of Terran, which is always exciting to see.
Yep, I kept a pretty close eye on Hurricane his first series because he actually went up against Cure in that one. And I was like, well, let's see what he's made of in PvT. And it's actually kind of funny because he had bad starts in his game. He managed to take a map, by the way, so that's already a good sign for Hurricane. And also keeps his dreams alive of still moving on. But he had terrible starts, especially on Eternal Empire. We were looking together at the game, lost like 14 or 16 workers against a couple of Hellions that were in the main base. We're like, man, this game is super over. At one point, he was actually really bringing the fight to Cure. It was close in the end. Cure did win the game, but I'm like, man, if you don't end up losing 14 works in the game, and let's say you lose only 5 or 6, then there is a good chance that he actually wins those kind of games as well, because it's obviously really hard to economically recover from those bad starts. So we'll see if he can clean up those openings a little bit, and if he's able to do that, Ben, the Terrans have been doing well. Wow, this is actually, I've seen this before today.
This is a bit aggressive here, and yeah, you say that about Hurricane versus Cure, but TY, it's a very similar thing. He was getting so many probe kills early on against SOS, and then managed to actually lose the game, and that's kind of crazy to me, but...
Reaper? Sorry about to interrupt you.
Is he going to scout this immediately? If so, this is some... Oh, the Reaper. This is crazy by TY, and scouting that Stargate. I wonder if Hurricane knows he's been scouted here.
I don't think he does.
Because if he stayed just out of vision, that is so much knowledge and power. And I love the fact that TY didn't go and attack that pylon and stuff, because that's just like, hey, I've seen you, but now you know that I've seen you.
Yep, and if people wonder why wouldn't you go for that pylon immediately, it's because you're not going to be able to get it. Not at least at first. At first, Adept could always shade to the other side of the map. The Adept is still at home for now, but it will take a very long time. TY also wants that Stargate to finish up. Look at that timing. Now he knows that it is indeed finished up. He can see what kind of a unit is being produced, but of course there will always be an Oracle here. Ooh. And now he actually goes for the pylon, and because he waited so long, the Adept is still on the other side of the map. This is actually a really sick play, and can he unpower the Stargate? This is going to be... I think he's going to be able to do that, man. With 2 Marines and a Reaper. And where is that probe? I think the probe is coming from the Zelnaga Watchtower now, but this is a really rough start for Hurricane.
It's super rough, Kevin, and here we do have a pylon that will be placed here again, but there's the probe. There's a Cyclone studio, nice blocking.
Oh, come on!
The probe just gets up, so the pylon does go down, but now a Cyclone does join, and he recalls everything back home.
And so I guess cancel the pylon. This is not going to finish up.
And what does he go for behind all this? He goes for a 3rd Nexus immediately. He's like, man, my tech got absolutely thwarted here. My attack's been shut down. I tried to get it up and going again.
Wow.
Immediately starts a Twilight Council 2 gates, and wow, Hurricane's been set back to square one within regards to tech.
You know, I've seen 2 PvTs earlier today on this map, and I don't remember both of them, but I know Trap against Inno, the Stargate was in that exact location. Maybe TY has been looking at it as well. I think maybe Patience tried it once in one of his games or something. But it's kind of funny that all of them are building the Stargate there, and the way that TY just dealt with it, I mean, what a marvelous start for TY. I would almost say it's a tiny downside that he's actually going for quick 3 command centers, because if he wouldn't have done that, there's no freaking way that if you proxy a Stargate, your Oracle never even comes out. You're filled to abandon that entire tech, that you can then keep this Nexus easily alive against like a strong 2-base push. But maybe now, because TY is going up to 3 bases as well, Hurricane can buy himself slightly more time. But this is a disaster of a start for our Protoss player.
Oh, and it could be even worse here. The sentry does fall without being able to get like a hallucination off or anything like that. So we can't even see that he's up against like a 3cc or anything.
As long as there's no blink here, there is technically no way for Hurricane to kill these Cyclones unless he somehow flanks them. But in this phase in game, you simply don't have the units for that. Maybe Hurricane is going to try something fancy, but once again, these Cyclones will lock on. They will not be able to pick off any Stalkers. I gotta say, good job there by Hurricane. It's easy to panic and become even more stressed when you have a bad start and mess up the Stalker micro there. At least he's not doing that.
He was so quick to resetting the game and resetting his strategy. Like, it wasn't even a second thought for him. It was like, boom, we're going to put down the third, going to do this, going to do that. And so far, these Cyclones really haven't been able to get too much done. And now Hurricane is getting a bit of map presence here. The main thing for him is he has no idea what kind of follow-up tech he's against. Is he against a 2-base pressure build? Is he against 3cc?
Oh.
How's he going to find out? Oh, it's with this observer.
Well, he's going to probably be forced to bring these Stalkers home because he doesn't have a lot of anti-air in his natural, and there's a Liberator heading towards his natural as well. At the same time, he somehow missed his army. Don't ask me how that's possible. Just when things were starting to look a tiny bit better for Hurricane, this is going to be bad, man. That Liberator is going to show up. It's either going to force a defensive warp in. He has 2 Stalkers there, so that's a little something. But those Stalkers that were out on the map, they are supposed to catch the units that were running to the other side of the map. They were supposed to like shave Marines off one by one. This is not where you want to be. At this point, Hurricane is going to realize that he reacted too late against the Liberator. And don't forget about all those Marines, the Cyclones and the tanks showing up over here as well. Disaster.
Oh no. I think those Stalkers showing up, by the way, Natural was like, great, they're over here, right? I'm just going to be pushing you and dealing damage in 2 locations now that I've seen those Stalkers out of place. And Hurricane's been punished really hard for it as well.
Yep, a flawless victory. It started out with a proxy Stargate, and how did we end up like this? That's what Hurricane is asking himself right now. It was not supposed to be this bad. TY is actually playing this very safe. He's like, I haven't won a game yet in this tournament. It's only been, this is only his second best of 3, of course. But, you know, why take a risk? You don't need to take a risk at this point. He knows he's in a fantastic economic position. He knows he's in a great army position at this point as well. He's pretty much doubling the army supply of Hurricane. And what can Hurricane do? Throws on the Templar Archives. I kind of like it, because I think at this point you need a magical comeback, and maybe a couple of storms can do just that.
Yeah, that's one of the things. When you put in a position like this, it just looks super damn bad for you that any choice feels like the wrong one. Right now, though, he's putting a bit of pressure on here. That is 1 tank, but he blinks into 3, and he's getting absolutely butchered here. All the Stalkers fall. Yes, you killed 4 SCVs, but was it worth the trade? And the answer is absolutely not.
He didn't even get that 1 tank, right?
I think, did he? Did he not?
Oh,
he might have got 1 tank, but
I was looking at the mini-map, and I was like, I still see blue there, but that was the depot, so 1 tank did go down, but at the cost of 6 Stalkers. It's a disaster of a game for Hurricane, there's no other way to put it. Really nothing is going his way. He does fire up Storm immediately, and like I said, I like it, because you're right, Ben, almost every choice you can possibly make at this point is the wrong one, but hey, maybe with Storm you can make a comeback possible.
120 supply against 78. It's obviously super darn rough for Hurricane. The Storm, he does have an upgrade an upgrade advantage here, which is cool and what have you. He's still maintaining a slight probe lead, but TY, he's in the comfort zone right now. He's got this Warp Prism trapped on one side, turret and Cyclones just surrounding it, another turret on the bottom as well, so that can't really do much over there.
You can potentially recall the Warp Prism. I'm not sure if recall's still on cooldown or not, because obviously he did use that 1 recall on the Stalkers. That was actually a shame, right? Because let's say Hurricane lets that Nexus die, but then he does still save his 6 or 7 Stalkers, and he just gets slightly more value out of those. And maybe it wouldn't have been all that bad. It would have always been bad, but maybe it's slightly more playable. At this point, it just really feels like the entire deck is stacked against Hurricane. He's going to try to buy some time with a little Zealot run by, but you look at his Terran army. The Terran army is massive, and what does Hurricane have to work with? How many High Templars do we have out? 4? Okay, I mean, 4 of the best Storms of all time, Ben, and
wow.
I believe there's 2 more High Templars though on the left side.
I don't believe they have Storm though yet, Kevin. And
they don't.
These tanks, they're getting into a gnarly position here. Lots of Marines stimmed, and the only High Templars with energy available got Interference Matrix, and now TY. He's put him in such a terrible location here. Immortals can't really get the damage done. The Zealots try and trade with the tanks, but TY's just kind of pulling them apart here from one side to the other.
Wow.
Nice counterattack by Hurricane, but a bunker nicely positioned here. He knew Hurricane's next move, and he's dominating. dominating this game.
Yeah, that's going to be all zero. The Zealots will not be able to get much done at all against that bunker. The Storms, obviously, it was impossible for him to land the best Storms ever because the tanks were zoning away those High Templars as well. TY putting some serious pressure on this Nexus, and at this point, Hurricane just has nothing left. He's got 2 Stalkers, 2 slow Zealot Warpins there as well, and 1 Archon. Love the fighting spirit, but this one, wow, eventually they got the bunker actually. Look at that, and 15 SCVs. Probably needed a little more than that, but that's kind of cool.
It's weird that he was so far behind that this is still a terrible situation for him, losing so many SCVs. But here, this is it. TY just pushing forward, lots of bio, equal upgrades. The Archons, they can't do anything. He's running away, but he's losing everything as he goes. 3 tanks in this as well, and Hurricane's army is just evaporating here, and TY takes a convincing first game.
Yeah, one of those games, if you're Hurricane, you just want to move on and forget about it. Like everything from the beginning, pretty much till the end, went as bad as it could have been. The Stargate got scouted immediately. The Adepts were obviously still at home because they're like, you know, the Reaper can hop into the main base and I don't want to end up losing probes. He didn't know he got scouted. If he would have known that, he could have moved the Adepts into a safe position, dance around a little bit against the Reaper and the Marine. The Oracle would come out. Would that all be good? Probably not, but at least then you have an Oracle out on the map, and that Oracle can force TY to be in certain positions in the map because he has to be a little more defensive, etc, etc. That just didn't work out at all. I love the fact that TY waited as long as he did, then brought the SCVs along as well for just a little bit of extra DPS, and by the time that Hurricane could even think about repowering the Stargate, the Cyclone showed up, and well, there's simply no way to kill a Cyclone there with 2 Adepts and an Oracle that's 70% out. Fantastic job by TY, and after that, I think he did pretty much everything right as well.
No, you're right, Kevin. That was the move that made me go like, oh my gosh, he really is smart. He didn't attack the pylon. He didn't give away the fact that he had the knowledge that he had. Even with his Cyclone counterattack at the start, he waited for the second one to show up before he gave it away what he knew. Now, TY, man, he's looking good already, but we will be heading right into this second game here, which will be on Triton, and spawning in the bottom right-hand side as the red Protoss, it is Hurricane.
And in the left top side of this map, we're looking at the main base of the man who was able to win it all, the Intox 3 Masters Katowice 2018 champion. It is TY. I like that Clara's brought it up that back then he was on that insane streak, just winning like almost $400,000 in times one of maybe 5 or 6 weeks. It was a very good time to beat TY, and a lot of people actually looked at him that year to potentially win the global finals. That didn't really work out. Obviously the tables are turned right now. If you win this one, TY, you do win the biggest one, and that's the one that's going to put you down in the history books.
Oh, definitely. I think around that period of time he was doing super well in GSL as well. That great final with him and Maru, and he was pretty much the only Terran that really pushed him to the limit, the only other player on the planet that really pushed him to the limit at that moment. Here though, we didn't really get to see what TY's true plan was that game because it was all about thwarting the plan of Hurricane. So this game he is opting for a barracks first, gas second. The other game he went for the gas first build. So already mixing it up a little bit is TY.
It's funny that I was going on in the beginning of that first map, how Hurricane keep getting himself in these disastrous early game positions where he's just so far behind and it's almost impossible to turn it into a normal game. And that happened again on the Eternal Empire. So maybe if I was Hurricane at this point, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just chill for a bit. Maybe I'll just go for a defensive blink opening and actually just try to defend. Make sure that my defenses are on lockdown, that nothing terrible could happen, and take the game from there. Because those kind of games, it's just like, it's an unfair fight at one point. Your opponent is so far ahead, no matter how good you are, you're just not going to be able to turn that around.
TY's openings, if I'm a Protoss player, I feel uncomfortable for them going up against him. Like here, we have the reactor first opening. Obviously, Hurricane did no scouting, but seeing the SV, that makes me think like, oh, what's he doing this for? Like, isn't there meant to be a Reaper showing up sometime soon? But back at home, he's mixing it up. A reactor first of all things, meaning he's going to be super safe against the first Adept if it does choose to cross the map. But I'm also wondering, what is he going to follow this up with? Because this isn't a normal way of going about a Terran build.
Could be one of those weird Marine tank pushes before he even has Stim or Combat Shield, or maybe just one of those 2 upgrades. Because if he obviously keeps the reactor on that barracks, he's going to be able to get a lot of Marines out. We'll see. There is an Adept that's going to shade to the other side of the map. It could be very quick Hellions, could be Widow Mines. There is a Starport, and the Starport is not being proxied.
And Kev, like he actually saved the SCV and then sent it into the main base later on again. And did he actually get to see the Twilight Council by his opponent here? I'm not actually sure. Yes, he did get to see which tech it was with that SCV, so that massively served a purpose, which was the same purpose as a Reaper, just to get info, but it didn't cost the 50 gas.
Now, I'm really curious to see if he goes up to Hellion number 3 and 4 as well. The answer is yes, so this should probably be a medevac then, right? Because then you can maybe go for a little Marine drop in the main base and 4 Hellions into the natural, or you just drop the Hellions into the natural. I'm not sure. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I was thinking it could be like a Viking or a Liberator, but is he showing us, wow, okay, really going on the aggression here. And I think after playing the first game, he's like, okay, maybe I've got Hurricane a little bit shaken up here.
Hurricane doesn't have that many units here, so this could get a little bit awkward. I'm not sure where the adepts are. Where are your adepts? The shield battery isn't done yet, so that stock takes a lot of damage immediately. And Hurricane is just going to end up losing probes again in the beginning of the game. It shouldn't be that bad, but I think at least 4 or 5 workers could go down here.
Even just denied mining in the third and fourth Hellion shot. This is a lot of unprotected probes at this point. They're all getting red. The shield battery's trying to do what it can. 4 probes do fall, but nice micro by Hurricane thus far. But
He's
it's
gonna
not
lose
over.
more though, yeah. He's gonna absolutely lose a few more. That's 6 workers at this point. A lot of lost mining time. 7 probes going down. Now all of the probes in the main base are not mining. And it just keeps on happening to Hurricane. He keeps having these terrible starts. He's going up against a different build every single time as well. And that's obviously the strength of Terran players like TY. You're expecting a Reaper. It's not a Reaper. By the time you realize why there's no Reaper, you end up losing probes already. And do we even have an Observer out? I don't think so. The shield battery is also in the front, if I recall correctly. So that shield battery is not going to help at all against his Banshee. And a lot of probes are low on HP.
Oh, he's quite fortunate that he started a third when he did, because now he sees the Banshee in the direction it's coming from. But his Observer, I don't think it's ready yet at all. And
No.
TY actually kind of gave him too much credit for when that Robo was done. Played a bit scared there. He could have dived into that mineral line and dealt a lot of damage. That's a bit of a saving grace for Hurricane.
Yeah, he could have picked up 4 or 5 more probes. Hurricane absolutely dodging a bullet there. First Observer is going to head to the main base. We don't have a shield battery in the main base, correct? No, we don't. But it seems like TY is just going to play this slow and steady. He wants to wait until he has 2 Banshees, because I do believe he has a second Banshee. And obviously the power of 2 Banshees is that they don't care about shield batteries. You have enough DPS to just gun down probes one by one. Just when TY is feeling so good, he's like, okay, I just want to make sure I don't die against the random 12 Zealot attack with charge, you know what I mean? Whew.
I love that little wall that he made it as natural, by the way, with the tank kind of defending. It's just very nice, and it means that you can't just dive into the, like, up the ramp if you have adepts or anything like that. But this new meta that Terrans have kind of evolved into with 3 CCs while playing very aggressive with the Hellions, it's causing the Protoss players a lot of trouble at this event, it seems.
Yep. I just feel for Hurricane. It just feels like he can't catch a break.
Your Protoss brother, I see you. You're pained.
No, I just want to see what he's made of. He had a great run. He gave us a couple of fantastic games in the offline qualifiers that we've had here the first 2 days of this event. He didn't start Charge, by the way, and I'm honestly not sure if he's aware of that, because Charge is so cheap that I feel like you should pretty much always start it immediately. It doesn't really cost that much. He's getting a lot of gateways. There is no way this is on purpose, but he's going to end up losing quite a few probes here, I'm afraid. The Stalkers are out of position. The Banshees are going to show up, and this is what I mean, man. He just can't catch a break. He is not able to get himself in a decent position. He's taking so much economic damage in all of these games. And please, Hurricane, at least start Charge. Otherwise, you are dead in the water, my friend.
Oh, more damage being done. It's not stopping anytime soon. He doesn't even have the Observer in position. 2 of them even chasing these Banshees at this point. And TY is going to be so happy with the damage he got done. 16 probes fall. And TY, he's got his third up behind all this. He's got double upgrades on the way. He's got every upgrade he wants on the way with Stim, Combat Shields, Concussive Shell. He's going to be pummeling out a really big army very soon. And Hurricane, everything's gone wrong for him again this game.
The fact that he even loses 16 probes while there was nothing else happening on the map at this point. The Stalkers were technically at home. They were in the wrong base, but they were technically at home. That's simply a few too many, man. You cannot be losing that amount of workers against Terran players like TY, like Cure, of course, that he already lost to in this group as well. The Stalkers are going to see this army in the middle of the map. Hurricane did drop a Robo base, so probably wants to get a Colossus or a Disruptor out. But Ben, he's got absolutely nothing that can fight this Terran army. He's swapping in Zealots at this point, but these are going to be the saddest Zealots of all time, because they're going to be as slow as I am on the treadmill.
Oh, yeah, he's like making TY back off a little bit here, but TY is just kind of happy doing that. He's waiting for his upgrades. He's waiting for more units. This run by.
If TY would have attacked that, then he just wins, though.
He does, he does.
The slow Zealots just don't do anything.
I know, and I mean, like, I think he's giving Hurricane a lot of respect this game, as if he hasn't made any of those errors where he gets an earlier robo, so the Observer would have been there in time, but we got to give TY credit. So far this game, he's been very respectful, but very good at the same time.
Charge is only halfway done. He scans his army, he sees a couple Zealots, and now he's going to realize that these Zealots do not have charge, and that means that this Protoss army is terrible. There is simply no other way to put it. Zealots with 1-1, they could have absolutely brought the fight to these Marines and Marauders, but poor Hurricane is really falling apart in this game.
Oh, so much bio, so much TY, pushing, absolutely smashing that army, and GG TY takes a very convincing series.
Yep, that is one way to bounce back for the Intox 3 Masters 2018 champ. He lost his first series of the day against SOS, and that's scary because this group has Cure and of course has Zero in it as well. But at least TY with a very convincing performance in his second series means he's right back in the mix to potentially make it into the playoffs of the Intox 3 Masters.